washing up then, no.
Not quite. Okay, so last time we were talking originally about your childhood home. So my question is, where have you lived and what do you remember about those places as a child? This is all about your childhood.
Okay. Can I go through them?
Yeah.
Because that'll help me remember the names.
Yeah.
And then if I get stuck at somewhere, we can come back to there. Because we did move quite a lot. Obviously, they were all rented. None was ever bought.
Sure.
I've never lived in a bought house until I bought one.
Yeah.
And I think I was one of the first in the family that ever bought a house. Well, it was 5 Centaur Street, which is where I was born. I came across a piece of paper the other day, or a photograph or something. If I do that, if I come across something, I've got a lot of old, I know what it was. It fell out or fell down and a photo slipped out. And I thought, that'd be an idea. If I go through all the old photos, I can maybe put them in some sort of order. If there's a picture of me on it, that'll give me an idea of age.
Yep.
That'll float back to what year it was. And I should remember whether I was in the RAF or on a bicycle in Spain or...
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you remember anything about Centaur Street? Or did
anyway,
you move
number
away?
5 Centaur Street is very vague. Centaur Street now runs... This is Commercial Road. You turn, you go up Kingston Crescent and you swing left now.
Yeah.
And then you come down to Flying Ball Lane, and there's Flying Ball Lane School that way, and there was Centaur Street this way.
Okay.
I don't know what the name of the road is here, and that's where the shop was with the sweets.
Oh, okay.
When I was 3.
You were talking about, yeah.
So that was the first address, Centaur Street. Then after that it was, this is recording.
Yes.
Okay. It's either 47 or 48 Highgate Road.
Okay.
And Highgate Road, if you come along Copner Road, you pass Copner Road School on the right and take the first road on the right, and that's Tokyo Road.
Yep.
Which leads into Highgate Road. There's the railway line going to London, or Havant, if you like.
Yeah.
Cosham.
Do you remember anything about the house itself?
I think it was 3 bedrooms, but it's very vague, very vague. I can remember the back garden where there was a chicken run on dirt. There was no grass there. There was just dirt. Very small, I've got a photo of that somewhere, so that'd be useful. So if you're going to give a lecture or something to the children, whatever, in the distant future, if I give you photographs and put 1, 2, 3 or 4 on it, and then a date or something on the back, and then you can get those in order if you want to go that far. Right, so that was Highgate Road. It was on the right as you turn left, because it was a dead end. The school is here. Copner Road School's there. There's the playground in the front. There's a school. There's another playground at the back. Then you go into the gardens, and then you come up against Highgate Road, stopped at the fence, or the fence. That was the school fence that kept in the garden. So the school had a garden, they should do gardening. Well, the older pupils did.
Yep.
So that's where I first started school, which was sometime before my 5th birthday. Whether it was a day, a week, a month or 2 or more, I really can't remember.
Sure.
So that was Copner Road's infant school. I changed classes fairly quickly when I first went there, as I remember it. because I thought friends were in there, but I met friends in the next class, which is like, let's say there was 1A and 1B.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went from 1A, which is the introduction to school, but because I was very lucky and I could write a little, spell a little, do arithmetic questions reasonably well, so I was very lucky to have been given that sort of brain.
Yeah.
Not clever, just lucky to have it.
Yeah. We're going to cover schools next time, as we're going to go through your whole school life. But yeah, so just back to the houses then, where you lived and what you remember about the actual houses.
So the actual can't really remember pre 3 years old and going to that shop to get the sweets.
Sure.
That was my first memory. Then the next memory was moving into the house at Highgate Road. There for quite a while. There was a lad that lived in the street, quite old. I would be three plus, maybe not a lot more. Could have even been 4. So I went from there. This is Centaur Street, to number 47 or 48. Could have been 46, but it was 40 something. About the middle of the road, on the right hand side, as you turn left to go into Burfield Road, and then over to the brickworks. I must have lived there possibly 2 years, maybe not as long as that. It wasn't long. And then we moved from there to Dartmouth Road or Vernon Road. The roads run parallel. This is Copner Road, Dartmouth Road, Vernon Road, Glenthorne Road. Highgate Road was run this way. If you go it with your mum in the car, you'll get the directions better.
Yeah.
But if we can do that one day, that'll be fine. Don't leave it too long. I don't know how long I've got. Maybe a long time, maybe not. At the moment, with the brain working as it is, so possibly I've always been a mixed up kid, so that's how my language comes out. Maybe that was why I was very versatile in whatever I ever did as a young person in the RAF, and when I came out to be a manager in Civvy Street. So I was very lucky really that way. Anyhow, we lived in Highgate Road for an indefinite time. It could have been a couple of years, it could have been longer than that. We moved from there to Vernon Road. Let me tell you about Highgate Road. I think Highgate Road had three bedrooms. I'm not sure about that, but I think it had 3 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember the inside of the house very well. All I can remember about Highgate Road is, two things. I got chicken pox when I was there, but I think I started school by then. I believe I started school and went from there to Copner Road School.
Yep.
That period of time was a bit muddled, till I'm about 8, I think. So that was Highgate Road. It was either Vernon Road for a short time. I can't remember the address there, but it was going towards Cosham Way, basically along the road.
Yep.
As against Southsea, which is this way. What happened there? I think it must. I think we were in Vernon Row for a short while, and then we moved into Dartmouth Road. I might have this wrong all right, but I'll try and work on this one by looking at the photos. And if they throw up something, I'll let you know if there was something in between. But we seemed to move a lot. So it was Chichester Road, not Chichester Road, we hadn't moved there yet.
So we went from Highland to Vernon.
And then Vernon into Dartmouth Road, 106 Dartmouth Road. I remember that because I had, at the bottom of the garden, it was like, we used to call it the dump, because it was at the back of houses in Ninian Park Avenue. I need to draw a map up, then I could probably follow it better and show you, and you'll get more sense out of me. But I'm sorry to be a bit vague, but
that's all right. A long time ago.
A long time ago. I think there were 3 bedrooms at maybe 5 Centaur Street. 46, 47, 48 Highgate Road was, I think, the next address we moved into. We then moved into 106 Dartmouth Road, which at the bottom of the garden was an alleyway that led from Dartmouth. This led from Ninian Park Avenue, past the wood yard, which is on the right, and this plot of land that was spare. Used to get rain in it and water line. And then you'd go into Ninian Park Avenue that ran that way, which led into Copner Road, and into College Park. You know where the park is in Copner Road? That's College Park. So I spent most of my sort of young life, after leaving 5 Centaur Street, between Highgate Road, Glenthorne Road, Dartmouth, no, not Glenthorne Road, Vernon Road into Dartmouth Road. So they all sort of ran that way, which is the same way as the railway ran. 2 bedrooms at Dartmouth Road. 2 bedrooms at Dartmouth Road. Mother and father lived in the front. Hang on a minute, I seem to have lost 159 Chichester Road. I'll have to look at some of these photos to look at me, to get my age, and then I can put it into perspective.
Before or after.
And I can fill that bit in for you better. There, we had three bedrooms. Chichester Road, midway down Chichester Road, halfway on the left-hand side. I then went to Drayton Road School. By the way, my first school was Copner Road, and then I went from Copner Road to Lindus Road, because somewhere along the way, I don't know what the dates are like, but the war was on. The war was declared when I was in Chichester Road, 159, which next there was a house next to us, 161, and then there was Funtington Road, going that way, which led to Lindis Road School. But I went to Lindis Road School from Cotton Road at times, and I can't remember why I did that. But there was a speech clinic because I had a very bad stammer. And it was terrible to get on a bus. I couldn't ask for a penny ticket because I couldn't pronounce a P.
Sure.
To start the word. Terrible. You get covered in spittle. So I had that speech impediment right until I first joined the Royal Air Force. But I used to go to Lindis Road School on a morning of a week, which morning I can't tell you now, to go to if you like, a stuttering class. Sure. So children that were going to school of a very young age went to Lindis Road School, and they supplied blankets. I think we used to lay in the hall, and they laid these blankets folded up 4 times. I remember stupid things like how many times they were folded. And there was a lady that taught us about thinking of the feet being black and going black all the way up to the top of your head, and then speak, because that blackness helped to get rid of the stuttering panic or fear.
Yep. And
we could talk reasonably well to each other, as against stuttering. So that was very difficult at first.
Sure.
And I still carried that with me right into the Royal Air Force for quite a I think I was in the slightly stuttering stages when I first joined the RAF. And I concentrated on the lessons given to me when I was a youngster, from maybe infant school, or maybe I'd gone to Drayton Road School from Chichester Road then, as against going to Lindis Road. I'm confusing you here, Mark, I am sorry.
That's all good.
But I need to write this down to clarify my mind what actual school I was going to, of what age that I was at the time. But war was taking place. If we moved into Chichester Road before war started, I can't remember. All I can remember about Chichester Road and school was we lived in Chichester Road, and I was at Lindis Road School, and obviously a chatterbox maybe, but I was punished for something and sent to stand facing the corner in the classroom when I was round about 8.
Sure.
And the reason I remember that is because war had been declared on the Sunday, and I think it was the Monday that I got put in front of the class, and I didn't go home for lunch.
Yeah.
My mother did a nut. The teacher eventually came in just before 1:30, because midday break was 9 till 12, 1:30 till 4 o'clock. That was the school hours in those days.
Yeah, we're going to come back to school in a minute.
I was sent to. There were 3 bedrooms, by the way, in Chichester Road, 159. See, if I were to write these down, it'd be more clarified.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went home that lunchtime. Where have you been? I did something wrong, and I think it was probably talking during class, or interrupting something that she was lecturing on, and she made me stand in the corner. and I was coming up to 8 because I remember I was only just gone 8 when war broke out, and I remember that very clearly on the Sunday morning.
Yep.
This is a rotten period of my time. It's all these moving to different houses that.
Did you stay in Chichester Road for the entire of the war, or did you move while the war was on?
Yeah, I think maybe we did move when the war was on. Maybe we did move when the war was on. But I would need to get that absolutely right. I need to write dates down and look at my old photos. So I've got to do a bit of dog work.
Sure. Do you remember where you moved to from Chichester Road? So you were 8 when you were at Chichester Road.
I was 8 years old when we lived in Chichester Road, yeah, because
do you know how old you were when you left?
Yeah, where did we move to from Chichester Road? See, I get mixed up when I'm round about 5 and round about 8.
Yeah.
They don't go like 5, 6, 7, 8.
Understandable.
They're doing this, jumping about in time. So I need to possibly try and get a date line on there. The only clear thing I can remember is that from Chichester Road, went to Drayton Lane School, which is up Chichester Road and turn left before you get to Kingston Crescent. I must have been somewhere coming up from 8 to 9, because I think I was somewhere between 8 and 9. That Jockey and I, that's my next brother up.
Yep.
Got evacuated because of the war. And we went to Old Basing, which is a little village just outside of Basingstoke.
Sure.
And I'm jumping the gun a bit now. So we went to stay with, we went into this, if you like, Old Basing Hall,
Mm-hmm.
You know, the local church hall, so to speak. And lots of people and desks were scattered around. And we were told to go and sit over there. Then we were both that Jockey and I were called up to sit at this table, and the person on the other side. It won't come through as a man or a woman there, but somebody sat on the other side of the long table. We sat side by side, and we answered their questions. And they allotted us to an ageing couple on the sort of outskirts of the village.
Mm-hmm.
The toilet was outside. The water we drew from the well. Wasn't a faucet. Wasn't a tap there. But we didn't stop there too long, because obviously we made too much noise, and they were very old people. So they moved us out of there and put us into a different part of Basing, where I looked at a cornfield, and I was there till I was brought back to Chichester Road when I was a bit older.
Is there a reason why you weren't with your parents at that point then?
Sorry?
Is there a reason why you weren't with your parents?
Yeah, because Portsmouth got bombed every Thursday morning. Dockyard got bombed every Thursday morning.
Okay,
So most of Portsmouth school children were moved out.
Yeah, but I just would have thought you would be with your parents, so you would have all moved together. But
we were evacuated.
Okay.
That's where you were compulsorily uplifted from school.
Yeah.
Given a gas mask in a cardboard box.
Sure.
Put on the train. Got off the train, met by people.
Yeah.
Shepherded towards Old Basing, which was outside of Basingstoke.
Mm-hmm.
Sat at this table I was telling you about in this hallway, where lots of children had got off the train. There were so many people about, unbelievable. And we went to this old couple, didn't stay there a few weeks, very short time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved into, I nearly had the name of the house. It wasn't a number, it was a name. I remembered it the other day, a few weeks ago for some reason, that leapt into my head. The name of the people were a young manager of a furniture shop in Basing,
Yep.
Stoke, it's south of town. No children. Jockey and I stayed there all the time. Jockey eventually went back home. They couldn't cope with both of us.
Yep.
And I was left there on my own with Mr. and Mrs. Miller was the name.
Yep.
I nearly had the name of the bloody. I could take you to the road. I could take you to the house, which overlooked a cornfield. There was a road in the village. We were on the outside of it, and this house was a set of houses, which led to a big house at the bottom of the road. Because we used to go beating there, beat the ground with trees, made a lot of noise. The birds would fly up, and they would have a shooting organisation.
Mm.
Go and shoot on a Sunday morning normally. Because I remember we went there once and it was dark, and I walked into a tree because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked down the road to this big house, an old Basing. I know I've done the gun a bit there, Mark. Sorry about
That's all right.
that.
So,
I'd got to about 9 or something then, and then we moved back to Pompey, back to Chichester Road.
Yep.
Mother came and got me. She wasn't going to leave me there on my own too long. But I used to get on all right with the Millers. Mm.
Oh, nice. So you're about 10 at this point then, I guess, 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
Do you know where you went to after Chichester Road? Or do you remember some houses after Chichester Road? Doesn't have to be
Dartmouth
everyone.
Road. We moved into number 2 Dartmouth Road.
Mm-hmm.
And there I got a bit mixed up because number 4, we lived at number 2, and number 4 is Mrs. Harris, that I told you the story about messages and giving her the penny back and you know that one.
Yeah.
We heard it
They
enough
don't.
times.
They don't.
So anyway, I must have been whatever age I was, and I'm sure because I went from Dartmouth Road to join the RAF. So that's how long we lived there at number 2.
Yep.
So that was, if you like, the longest stay. But there's all the roads in that little area, so we won't have to drive very far when we go on our house hunting trip. All these houses are like all in Copter.
Yeah.
Apart from the one up to just the road. I'm going to put this in the microwave again.
Yeah, let's do a quick
got
pause.
A bit cold.
Yeah, we'll do a quick pause.
Okay. There are various things that have happened at various houses, but I think what I need to do is to write down what roughly the numbers were of the houses that we lived at.
Yeah.
Roughly how old I was, and try and judge it by the war when war broke out.
Yeah.
I can remember that, but I've got to put it into a house.
Sure.
So why my parents moved a lot, I don't know. Whether they couldn't afford the rent or I can't remember. But I can remember at like in Highgate Road, because they were all so close,
Yep.
or 5 or 6 of them were so close, I'm a bit confused as to how
Which
old
one?
I was, and
Yeah,
each
each one.
individual,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one or that one.
definitely. What about when you were, what sorts of things did you do for fun when you were a child? What when you were like wanted to entertain yourself? What would you do?
Well, I suppose, I think I told you, because of the school friends I had,
Mm-hmm.
they lived in Glenthorne Road and Ninian Park Avenue, which were 2 roads that were like that, because the railway ran there.
Yeah.
This was Ninian Park Avenue, which ended with a fence and the railway, or a wire fence. You couldn't get through it. All barbed wire going across the end of the road.
Yeah.
So it was like open, and you could see the trains going past. And that was Glenthorne Road, was the road that ran with the houses that were backing onto the railway. And I used to spend most of my playtime down in Glenthorne Road, which led into Ninian Park Avenue.
Yeah.
And it was a block at each end. From this road here, Ninian Park Avenue, there was an alleyway leading to Moncton Road.
Mm-hmm.
Moncton Road ran this way. No, Moncton Road ran this way. Cotton Road ran that way. College Park was at the end of Moncton Road. This is Moncton Road here.
Yep.
We lived at 106 Dartmouth Road there, where I could come out and into this alleyway between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we used to play a lot. And because it was a T-junction, because it was the blockage at each end, the railway this end, rail line, and the end of people's houses in Dartmouth Road. You're straight into my brain.
That's all right. Yeah.
I think our most favourite game was, we used to call it football trot.
Okay.
Kickball trot. Because there was a blockage at each end of Moncton of Moncton Park Avenue here. It was a good spot to put the ball where the road joined. Glenthorne Road joined Moncton Road.
Yep.
Not Moncton Road, it wasn't bloody Moncton Road. Ninian Park Avenue. Where it joined Ninian Park Avenue there was a natural spot in the middle of the road that we used to place the ball. So we'd all stand here.
Yep.
Apart from the person who was the one out. I'll explain him in a moment. So we all lined here, we kicked the ball, and he had to run and get the ball and get back to there quick. Because if he didn't, he got a fine or something. I forget how it worked. They all lived either in Ninian, the people that we played with lived in Ninian, I could tell you their names later, Ninian Park Avenue or Glenthorne Road.
Yeah.
And they all came from that. So the mums and the dads of the various houses couldn't complain about the kids that played in the street, because there was only one car in the road, and that was the Marshalls up in the middle of Glenthorne Road.
Yeah.
Sorry, Governor. You asked me some questions about there, and I'll tell you.
Yeah. It's more to do with what sorts of things did you do? How did you entertain
Well,
yourself?
We played this kickball trot practically every day.
Yeah.
Year after year. So we got older and older, and then we started to chase scales and things like that. So what you do when you get to that age.
Did you have any other games you used to play?
And another thing, because Ninian Park Avenue, Glenthorne Road, the end of Glenthorne Road, there was a shop, there was the railway gates and the crossing to Langston.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go to all Langston Harbour and the field and that, and all that play area. So it wasn't far for us. Ninian Park, Glenthall Road, people who played there. I never ever lived down there.
Yeah.
My sister moved there, the oldest one. The first 5 children that my mother had
Mm-hmm.
was with this man who jumped ship in Australia.
Yeah. We'll come back to. We will find out about that actually soon.
Yeah,
So it's just
I know
about...
nothing. I don't even know his name.
No.
All I know is his surname, because I know my brothers and sisters from the first 5,
Yeah.
not the last 4. The last 4 were the Rosses, and the first 5 was Smith.
Yeah. We're going to We're going to cover all of that in a future one.
Yeah.
So this is just to do with how you had fun, you know, even at home, you know, in a dark evening, would you play cards? Would you play board games? Did you have toys?
I always remember having in the house a piano, a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
We had some chickens. I can remember vaguely. I've got a picture of my sister sitting in the garden on the edge of the chicken run in 5 Centaur Street.
Yeah. Did you have any favourite toys? Do you remember any toys you used to have as a kid?
The first one that I can remember very well is go back to Highgate Road, and it was a Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother Fred had not long started work because he was the oldest boy. My sister Gladys was the oldest girl, was the first 5.
Mm-hmm.
There was Gladys, Frederick, Ivy, Nellie, Ernest.
Yeah.
He had not, somehow, I don't know how he did it, he bought a little pedal car aeroplane that had wings.
Yeah.
It wasn't a car, but you got in it, so you know, a little tin car that people used to, children used to have bought for them.
Yes, yeah.
Well, this was a toy car in the shape of an airplane. It had a tail plane and it had wings. No engines, of course. And that was bought from a... So that was like the biggest surprise I ever had. Because you remember, my first memory of a present goes back to a 3-year-old with my brother Roy.
Mm-hmm.
It was... my sister was born. Roy was born. Jockey was born. I was born. That's the last 4. That's how it was. Games we were playing. Marbles was a favourite game, and because we lived in, as a very young child, 4 to 5 I think I may have been, because we've moved from Centaur Street then to Copner, and used to play hopscotch.
Yep.
You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
So we used to play with court. We played marbles in the street, game of marbles.
Penny against the wall.
One of the family made, it may have been Jockey, I don't know, a marble shoe, made it out of a shoebox, cut out little, very wide. If you get a shoebox which is about that long, as you know, you go to buy a pair of shoes, cut out little slots, and marked them up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something.
Yeah.
And we played marbles, rolling them against there, and whatever one that went through, that was your score.
Yeah.
So we played that sort of marbles. Then we played marbles in the street against other children. And if you hit their marble, you kept it. That was the game.
Yeah.
You had to aim your marble to hit theirs, or their they would aim marbles to hit yours.
Yeah.
We got an old wooden box and a very long shaft of wood and a small piece of wood, and we made a wooden push cart. Went over to the dump over Burfields, and you could get an old pram might have been dumped there.
Yeah.
Which used to have 2 sets of wheels, a pram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you took it all apart, if you could get it apart, which we did, we got a hacksaw, cut through. That was the driving wheel. So on the front, you had a piece of wood with a bolt through that was joined to this long piece of wood, on the back of which was a box. And you sat in the box with a steering wheel, and somebody pushed you from behind. I don't know what you call that. You see some of the old films you see, they have a special race, don't
Yeah.
they?
They're like go-karts, aren't they, I guess?
Go-karts.
Go-karts,
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, okay. So you might have already mentioned a couple, but just in case there's any you haven't, what are some of your favourite memories from that period in your life?
Well, I suppose the most popular game was kickball trot.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one, you could get 20 kids playing that.
Yeah.
One poor bugger had to stand by the ball. They stood back, and the best kicker, because there was only one car in the street in Glenthorne Road, and it was on the left-hand side, halfway up. I think Len Maskell's father had that. That was in Indian Park Avenue, and he would kick the ball up Glenthorne Road. Whoever was up. See, if you were the first one caught, because the ball was kicked, he chased the ball, and he had to get it quickly because someone will be watching from a hideaway.
Yeah.
And if that person said 1, 2, 3, tapping the ball with his or her foot, whoever was up, guarding and chasing the ball. Ken Ross hiding in Vernon Upfield's house.
Yeah.
You could see me looking through the tree. He had bushes in his front garden. Rich looked straight up Glenthorne Road. So I would be the next one to chase the ball. Then I would say, Mark Ross in somebody's front garden, or hiding behind a telegraph pole, whatever.
Yeah.
And you were the first one. So the next time, everybody was caught.
Yep.
Or voluntary came up because it was taking too long. Come on, everybody back. Everybody came back, stood behind the ball was kicked, and whoever was up chased it, the game started again. So we played some, and it was quite exciting really when you had to run like hell to get the ball, because if you ran like hell out of your hideaway, because this person couldn't stand by the ball all the time, he had to go looking, or she had to go looking.
Yeah.
In front gardens and stuff. Well, while she was walking that way, some of them from hiding behind trees or something up here would run like hell and kick the ball. Ball kicked! Come running back to chase the ball to put it on the spot.
Yeah.
Everybody that was caught could disappear again and hide. So that was the name of the game. It was like hide and seek in one respect.
Yeah. So
any other questions you thought of?
Well, it's more to do with, so when you're not specific to do with games or toys or anything, but when you look back at that, at your childhood memories, what are your fondest memories of that whole period? You know, when you sit back and you reminisce, you think, I used to love it when that was whatever it might be.
We another thing, because we were right on the edge of escapism, we got quite a longish walk, but we go there one day in the bike. You know where have you been to Paul's allotments?
Not yet, no.
Oh, right. Well, his allotments are the other side of these railway gates at the end of Buffield Road,
Yeah.
which passes Highgate Road that side, Burfield Road, go
Yeah.
across the railway lines to Freedom, cowboys and Indians and all that sort of stuff. To go down, I should draw you a little map. If you can imagine a road coming from the middle road, in that area with so much escapism it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
But crossing the railway lines, you got fields galore, where football pitches, blackberry picking, winkling in Langston Harbour, cockling in Langston Harbour, fishing in Langston Harbour. When you go fishing, swimming in Langston Harbour when the tide was right up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could see Hailing Island, you know, across the water.
Yep.
And easterly round the corner, so to speak, on the right-hand side. See, I need to draw you a map, because that is the only little area that I knew.
Yeah.
Because it was from Dartmouth Road that I joined the RAF at 17 and a half and got on the train and headed on my own into Bedfordshire.
Yeah.
Well, I went to RAF Cardington, but then by that time I was 17 and a half.
So, who was your child?
And I'd met your nan.
Yeah. So, who was your childhood best friend as a child?
Geoffrey Wiseman. He was in the first class I went to. I was at the second class. Anyway, he was in the main class because he and I became friends. And he was my bosom friend from 4 and something. From age 5, slightly back.
Yeah.
Was when I first met him. I don't think I'd got into the Ninian Park Avenue until I'd started school, but that might come to me later. But Geoffrey Wiseman, and we were bosom friends. He would come and, is Ken coming out? Is Geoffrey and Mrs. Wiseman? Yeah, okay, Ken. Ken's here.
Yep.
And there was an alleyway. He lived at number 57 Glenthorne Road. 55 Glenthorne Road, because 57 there was an alleyway, and then there was Peter Acres, and you could go down the back of there, and there's all the back houses of Glenthorne Road that side, and Vernon Road that side, all the back walls and fences that I used to climb over.
Yeah.
Put it in the shirt, come out. It was all clear, Ken. We didn't have to give you a shout. Yeah, why is it always me that's got to go over the bloody fence and up the trees where all you lot keep watch? Oh, but you've got to have a lot of people keep and watch. And of course the war was on.
So going up the trees.
So there was no lights on anywhere.
No, but just I know, but people watching won't know. So what were you going up the trees for?
What was I?
What were you going up the trees for? Why were you climbing the fences and going up the trees?
Pinching the apples and the pears.
Yeah?
Yeah. And invariably, it was the most striking person. I think I was the only one with red hair that played in that group of people. Jockey never joined in. He I don't know where he played. He used to be friends with Cyril Curtis, and they were good at playing cricket and football, both of them. They both joined the army. Mm-hmm. Jockey went to Arborfield, a bit further north, to become an instrument fitter, all sorts of instruments. And Cyril Curtis went to, began with a C. I think it was the race course. Come later. Catterick. To do with signals.
Okay.
They were all signals, communication stuff. That's what he learned. And they were both 14 or so at the time. You're not going to join, that'll go away. And he did. And when I got old enough, I went and joined the ATC band, like I told you. And when I was old enough, I joined the Air Force. So.
Yeah. So, not. This is childhood period rather than adulthood. What nicknames have you had and why?
Well, I think I was just called Ken until I joined the RAF. Then I was 17 and a half. And I got friendly in the billet. There was about 20 of us, 10 either side of a long hut.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end were 2 corporals. And they had like a door into a little room, if you like. At the end, it was sort of shut off at the end.
Yep.
Cut the back or the front part of at the end of the billet, there was about 10 either side, and a corporal in there who were in charge of the whole billet, both of them. I suppose most of the time I was called Ginger until the 3 of it. Lou Bosio, who was a Gibraltarian, so he was slightly dark, only slightly. He wasn't a dark, wasn't black like some of them are, and Ginger Aldridge, who was like me, a Londoner. They were both Londoners. Ginger Aldridge was slightly bigger built than me, but another, if you like, let's say 6-footer.
Yeah. But
close to being 6 feet tall, him and I. And Lou Bosio was shorter and a bit meatier. And they used to get fed up calling Ginger, because the 3 of us might be out doing something, playing football, on drilling or something or other in our first days of recruitment into the Royal Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fed up bloody turning round for you. What? This is Ginger Aldridge. Because we looked, I hope I got a picture, we looked fairly similar in facial as well. And a blood nut. I think we were the only 2 redheads in the billet.
Yep.
We're fed up calling out Ginger, because you both answer, you both turn round, you both stop what you're doing. And then I used to say, well, I'm bloody fed up with you calling out Ginger. And he would say, I'm fed up with you calling Ginger, basically. So he said, I'll stay Ginger, that's the only thing I know, but we'll call you Bloodnut. Yeah. So my RAF, hello, Bloodnut, the old bugger. Hello, so I am now 20, 30, coming up to 40, and I'm still called Bloodnut. Christ almighty, Bloodnut. I haven't seen you in 10 years. The last time I saw you, you were stationed in Ceylon, or you were stationed at...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that... So you never had...
my nicknames have always been Ginger from the start, not from when I was a youngster. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, they might have called... I can't remember that very well. But Bloodnut is the one which was the nickname that stuck. But that didn't start until I was 17 and a half and onwards.
Okay. So tell me about 1 or 2 times when you were a child, then when you got into trouble. Something you got into trouble for as a kid.
Right, okay. I was coming out of Cotton Road School one day. I'd be about... coming up to 12, so 11 or something. I might have been 10 or something, but I think I was maybe up to about 11. I nearly had his name then. Levac. He was a foreigner. He came from somewhere up north. Quite a biggish lad, a bit of a bully. Anyway, we came out of school one day, and I'd be about 11 or 12, and he was bullying her, pulling her around or doing something. She'd upset him, or maybe I nearly had his first name. And so I was walking, we were all coming out of school. Was it at lunchtime? I think it was at lunchtime. And so I was about 12. And I said, hey, leave her alone. Bloody bully, why don't you pick on the fellow? What, you mean you? I said, yeah, just, will you leave her alone? Look, I bloody told you to leave her alone. She's doing nothing to you. She's walking home from school. Anyway, we started to fight. I'm not a fighter, as you know. I'm not a fighting person. Anyway, we got him, and I got him on the ground. It was on the pavement. As you come out of the school gates in Copner Road School, which as you face the school, the left-hand side, there's like a pathway, I don't know, about so wide, to walk down to the, because the infant school was in the front in Copner Road, and the higher class, you know, the more aged, along the back. Anyway, we were all trooping out. Only just turned right. There was the newsagents and sweet shop next to the school wall,
Yeah.
basically. Anyway, we started to fight. I got him on the ground. I got him on his back. I got his arms up here. I'm sitting on his stomach, astride of him, pushed with his weight. And I was like, he was the biggest bloke, and I was skinny then. And I got his hand and I rubbed them on the ground. I said, you bloody bully, I'll teach you to fight girls. Why don't you fight men? Why is it you're always bloody bullying people? Why don't you go back up north where you live and bloody leave Portsmouth? Or something like that. I can't remember the exact word.
Yeah.
But obviously we had this fight. The next day or the day after. Kenneth? Yes, Mum. Kenneth, come into the front door. Just a minute, Mum. Come straight away. So I went straight away. There's a policeman standing at the door. He had gone home. I'd obviously taken the skin off his hands.
Yeah.
Rubbed them on the pavement. So that was my first dealing with the police. I was about 12 years old. I was never caught pinching apples or pears or anything. And I didn't rob shops.
No.
I used to just pinch apples and pears. It wasn't the stealing of the fruit. It was the fear of getting caught up in a bloody tree that gave me my kicks. You're a devil, you are. No, I'm not. This is me speaking for myself, isn't it?
So what happened?
So that was when I got into. That was when I got into trouble.
So what happened? What did the police say?
Well, I told you what had happened. So I was a little bit vociferous, and I think I said, of course I was scared. With the policeman, I thought, Christ, you're going to put me in jail. But I was 12 years old, so I should have known a bit better. And I said to him, if that boy does that again, Mr. Policeman, I should stop him hitting girls. Have you got proof? Oh, I got proof. They come on, Rossi. Or Bloodnut. Or, no, they didn't call me Bloodnut. Come on, Rossi. Come on, Ken. Give him whack. He's always bloody bullying that northern chap. But he come from the Midlands somewhere. By Birmingham, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was an actual foreigner. He was like, I don't know what part of the world he was born in. But he had a foreign name. Something, it wasn't like Tom, Dick or Harry.
Yeah.
It was foreign name, Lebuc. That was his name. Well, it wasn't French.
No. Was that the
It wasn't German, but
no. Was that the only time you got into trouble then? Really, no other time?
what else did I do wrong?
Not what you did wrong, it's just what you got into trouble for. Like
I was never caught pinching fruit. I never robbed shops. I never went into a shop and picked up something and nobody was looking. Whatever it was, it never went into my inside pocket. I know one of our family was like that, but I'm not going to talk about that. What else I did? Playing football in the street, kicking the ball and it hit the window. We used to play football in the street with a tennis ball.
Yeah.
Or maybe a slightly bigger ball, which was a Christmas present or something. Not the big ball. Because we could go, they said, go across to the field and play there, or go to College Park, which is just around the corner from where we lived. When we do our tour,
Yeah.
you say, Christ, you lived on top of yourself, Grandad.
Well, talking about Christmas.
I can't think of anything. Was I in trouble at school? Talking? I didn't used to get into too much trouble for being disruptive, which I told you. Robert, as you know, when we went to visit his school when he lived in Stafford, we went there and there all the seats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One seat right in the front. I said, oh, is that chair there for a special reason? Yeah, your son. Pardon? Well, I've told you that story before, haven't I?
Possibly, but we'll come to that anyway in a bit.
Yeah.
That's
jumping the gun there.
Yeah.
What else did I get into trouble for?
It might not be anything.
When I look back, I'd often thought I'd get caught for pinching apples or pears and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was never caught. I mean, if they'd have looked out of their back windows and seen the...
Well, tell me the story as we're talking about that. Tell me the story about...
The policeman?
No, when the guy came out of his house when you were up the tree.
Sorry?
You said you were up a tree once.
Oh, right, so yeah.
Tell that story.
If you go down Glenthorne Road and you come to Geoffrey Wiseman's house this side of the alleyway,
yep.
Peter Akers on that side of the alleyway, and then you could get to all the backs of all the houses in Vernon Road, or the backs of the houses in Glenthorne Road. I wouldn't say all, but I think a fairly good few had fruit trees in their back garden. They are the red currants, black currants, apples, pears, tomatoes. It wasn't the stealing, it was the fear of being caught, being in their back garden, picking things off their trees and bushes. That was the kick. That was the kick.
So what was the story you said? You had a story you've told me before.
If you go down Glenthorne Road, you know, you sort of got an idea. I'll show you that eventually. We go down the bottom of Glenthorne Road, and the last on the left, between 55 and 57, I think the numbers are, was Peter Akers and Geoffrey Wiseman. Go down there, turn right, and on the left-hand side of one of the houses in Vernon Avenue had this house with a greenhouse at the back. Bear in mind it was wartime and nobody could have any lights on, you had a blackout. So if you had a light on, you had to shut the door quick. And cars had to have headlights that always pointed down, not like that. Anyway, I was up the street, and I don't know where these lookouts were, because the guy came out, the light went on, I thought, oh bugger, because I couldn't move, I was at a rotten part of the tree, and he put his kitchen light on very quickly, switched it off again, to get in to open the back door of his conservatory, which is built onto the back of the house. And then he started to walk down the garden. It wasn't pitch black, but it was very dark. It was wartime, so there was no, so he couldn't have any lights on. He didn't have a torch.
Yeah.
So he came out and he walked right underneath me. This house had a gate, a back gate. I can't remember whether it had a bolt at the top or not, because some of them had bolts at the top, so that was good. I could slip the bolt back, make sure it didn't make a noise, open it very carefully, because don't forget, people could be in their gardens under poor lighting. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
But this was night time. This would be about 8 o'clock plus during the winter time, and this chap had pears. Now, as you all may not know, pears sort of ripen after. So if we say apples are September, August, September time, pears are like September to October, November time. And Williams pears, I think, I don't know for sure about this. I can't really remember whether he had Williams pears or not. But he came along, walked under me to the back gate, and looked along the long alleyway that ran at the back of all the houses in Vernon Road. And there was the alleyway that led past Jeffrey's and Peter's house into Glenthorne Road.
Yep.
I got to describe it that way. And there was I up this tree, and I thought, God. And I think I was fully loaded. My shirt was right out here with pears, I think. What we can do is when we go out for this car ride, I say, can we stop the car? And we stop at the alleyway. That's if you can still go down it, I suppose. And it's still there.
Mm.
The house has not been knocked down, and they built something in that road. But if the alleyway is still there, we go down there and we turn right, and we can walk down the back of where they got their cars parked, etc. I mean, they might have walked, because most people didn't have garages. Most people didn't have cars.
Yeah.
They might have had push bikes, but in those days there weren't many. Like I said, in Glenthorne Road itself, on the left-hand side of Glenthorne Road, going towards Highgate Road,
yeah,
with the railway on the left, was a car parked in the middle of the road, because all the houses were like joined together and there was no alleyway between there and there. Well, he always used to park his car out in the road.
Yeah. This
particular person, because if you could kick the ball as far as him, that was a good distance, because it was halfway down Glenthorne Road. So to see these houses is ideal. You get some idea of how they're all close together.
So let's go to what was Christmas like as a child? How did you spend your Christmases? What was the day like?
Yeah, well, that would go. Well, that was the whole that was the whole family. Brothers and sisters, being older, were married. I can't remember the weddings too clearly, except my sister, of my four in the last four, and she got married in 1941. She worked at Airspeed Oxford, which was building aircraft go down Burfields Road, cross the railway line, all the way past the old brickworks and the clay pits, because the brickworks was near the clay pits, so they dig the clay up, brought them in, made bricks. And they go along a little bit further, and on the left-hand side was the aircraft construction company called Airspeed Oxford. They didn't build warplanes. They built like observation planes, but they, it was just a small a small site really, with probably had a couple hundred or more workers there, probably more during the war.
Sure. Let's go back to Christmas. So Christmas.
Go back to Christmas. Right, yeah. I think the fun part of that is because they were all older than me, and we moved into Highgate Road when I was 4-ish plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember times at Highgate Road as a very young child being allowed to paste. And my mother should get some flour, mix it up in water. And flour is very sticky, as you may or may not know. I don't think anybody paid money to buy sticky paste, but she used to have it, and then a little 1-inch paintbrush, about the size of this one here. You see it?
They can't.
So I could sit down with here, and I'll have a little table or something, and there were these strips of coloured paper, reasonably, like of a good quality. If you can remember good quality note paper,
Mm-hmm.
or writing paper, foolscap. These bundles of coloured papers, you could buy them in separate colours, as about 1 inch thick, and there would be about 50 sheets of cut paper. A bit longer than this, but only half the width. So they'd be about this size.
Yep.
So you paste the end, make a ring. Then you've got a red, blue, pink, mauve, orange, call it what you will. Must demonstrate. I used to love doing this because it was simple and I was young,
Yeah.
and I could join in.
Yes.
I could do things that they knew I was doing right. So it's a bit difficult because it's not stuck together. Then I would paste that end, bend that over, put that. So as you can see, when they stretched across the room, there were all these little circles of different colours.
Yes. Yep.
And that was our decoration. You could go and buy all the pretty ones that got designs. All these were, but they cost, I don't know, tuppence each or something. Or these used to cost maybe pennies for a packet of red, a packet of. So the older brothers and sisters used to go and do that, and then they used to make the paste, and little Ken would get it with a paintbrush and just paste about half an inch, a bit more, and then you fold up. See, if you cut all this paper up, and it comes in a strip, and you get it and you bend it over, and you put it down. And then you would make up several of these circles of paper. And you pick up those two, or you pick up that one, and you put a bit of paper through, and you stick it together. So that was 2 of them stuck together.
Yeah.
Like so. Can you see it?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
So that's how it was. And the next one would go out under that one. The next one would go out under that one. And before long you had this trail of circled paper intertwined with each other. So when they've been let to dry, you pin one in that corner, pin one to the rose in the centre of the room, pin it maybe the other side of the light, and put it in that corner. the one from that corner to the light, from that light to this corner. Maybe some across there, some across there. Then you get holly. And you could buy sheets of coloured paper, tissue-ish paper, and you could make patterns out of those and hang them around the clocks and there weren't computers then, or around the piano, or around something.
Yep.
On the wall. You'd also go across to these fields at Baffins, find a holly tree, maybe find a holly tree with red berries on it. Might find a normal tree, because mistletoe is like a foreigner to a tree. It gets on the tree and sort of invades it, and then you can go up and you can cut it off and bring it down. As you know, with mistletoe, kiss the girls under mistletoe. And you used to have a piece of mistletoe hanging up just inside the front door, so you could welcome people, say, mistletoe, happy Christmas. So things were very much a do-it-yourself job, whereas nowadays you go and buy all this stuff ready-made, whereas we used to make a lot of the stuff our own and spend time. So or get bits of cardboard, thin cardboard from somewhere.
So describe.
And you'd make something like a little model car or anything.
Yeah.
Anything you can picture that is made of wood or metal, whatever, you could make that, obviously smaller size, in cardboard. And you used to sit down at a table, right? Paint up some decorations, make up some decorations for Christmas. So you sit down and you say, right, I've got some nice cardboard here. You got an old shoe box. You got another sweet box or some sort of box with coloured paper on the outside. And you'd get one side very carefully cut, a side of paper out. That could be the top, the bottom, or the side, back or front of a van.
Yeah.
And you could write on the van, and you could get other little bits of paper, make it into a fancy shape, get your glue brush out, paste that and stick it on the side, and you can have a van advertising Oxford.
Yep.
And you get another bit of paper, and you can make Father Christmases, all made from sort of waste coloured bits of paper.
It's good. It's a good way to do it. So what was your day like? So you'd wake up on Christmas morning, or you'd go to bed Christmas Eve, kind of go through what was running through your head and what you were doing.
Well, you couldn't wait to get to the bottom of the bed, because on the bottom of the bed was tied a pillowcase and a stocking normally. The pillowcase was for the sort of bigger pocket. And in the stocking, without fail, there'd be an apple, an orange, a bar of chocolate or a bar of something sweet, maybe a little tin toy, because I was Japan and China used all their stuff, and they still do it now. Or something which you could hang on to something else and make it decorative, and hang it from a clock or a picture or anything that's on the wall. You could, hang a decoration of some sort, so you couldn't wait. Bed. No talking, sleep. Yes, Mum. I mean that. Do you understand what I'm saying? That means you go to bed, you put your head on the pillow, you close your eyes, and you go fast asleep. Because if you're awake, I thought if you get this every Christmas, if you are not asleep, there might be a noise on the stairs, because he might be quite a chubby Father Christmas, coming upstairs with a bag of toys on his back, maybe a pillowcase with your name on it, and a peg, and a stocking. a Christmas stocking, which is made in the shape of a stocking, with that sort of design that you could put toys through that you could look through. Other times the outsides were solid, the outside of the boot was solid, so as you couldn't look inside. You had to open the end of it and either empty them out or very carefully, but that took too quick. We wanted to make it last longer. So you got that and you put your hand inside. Wow, look at that. And there's a little bag. And inside that little bag is some sweets, a little airplane, a little fire engine, a little something or other. And you're going and you put them all up. Look at that, I've got 10 little toys in that stocking. And then you couldn't wait to get to that pillowcase. Can I? No. Wait for that. Mum, can I open? No. You can look at the top. Don't put your hand inside. All right, Mum. Are you up? Yes, I've got some breakfast for you downstairs. And you'd have a nice special breakfast, you know. Might have egg and bacon, I don't know. Or fried bread and something on top. Because bear in mind, times were tough then, especially as the war was going on. When obviously I was a bit older then, and I suppose when I had this toy airplane in Highgate Road, I must have been somewhere about 5ish, either coming up to, or maybe just gone past. And I could remember getting in that. No, you can't go out in the street. One of Jockey or Roy will go with you. Maybe your sister Winnie will come. I'm not going to go out in the bloody street with him sitting in that stupid little airplane. Or something of that sort, I don't know. I can't remember. But girls being girls, that's how they acted. So she would be that much older than me, wouldn't she? So I'd be 4, 5. So let's say there was 2 years between each of us. That makes it 7, 9, 11. Or something of that sort. So that was her age. So she was coming up to being a young lady, if you like. The early stages of being a young lady. Or a growing up girl.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play with that.
So you did you have any particular traditions that you used to follow on Christmas Day as a child? Do you remember, like, so you opened up your presents, you went down, you had your breakfast.
Well,
what
you
happened
waited
next?
for your brother and sisters to come with maybe their baby or young son or young daughter.
Yeah.
And you sit round the table, a big table, for Christmas dinner. And at 3 o'clock, quiet, right? Nobody talking, right? Queen speech, 3 o'clock. King speech. Not Queen speech, King speech. 3 o'clock. Maybe you'd finish your lunch, maybe not. And then the mums and dads, or your older brothers and sisters, come on, we'll play a game of cards. We'll play Wish. Or play some other game. Or we'll play Monopoly. You can play Monopoly. Get the dice, put it in the cup, throw it. Yeah. I'm going to have the duck, I'm going to have the swan, I'm going to have the airplane, I'm going to... So we'd all sit round the table and we all get the dice. Oh, you landed on mine, that's £2 you've got to pay. Oh, you've landed on famous London street.
Mayfair, Park Lane.
Yeah. £50. What? And they, of course, your parents and your older brothers and sisters, for you as a young child, that that big.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you, did you have a curfew? Did you ever have a curfew as a child, or were you just got home when, well, you must have had a curfew.
What, I mean when the war was on?
Well, just from parents. Your parents might have said to you, make sure you're home by 8 or...
Even as I was growing up. Your mother had a curfew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time was it?
I told you 10 o'clock. I didn't tell you to ring up at 10 o'clock and say you missed the last bus. And will you come and pick me up? You ask your mum. When you get home, Did Grandad used to come and pick you up sometimes because you missed the
Yeah.
bus?
Well-
I mean, it's probably 11 o'clock or maybe 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, what was your curfew?
Sorry?
What time was your curfew?
I never got involved in that. I didn't get into dancing until.
No, curfew.
Sorry.
Curfew.
Oh,
What
the curfew.
What
Well,
curfews did
I
you
didn't
have?
need a curfew because it was.
Yeah.
So I was just gone 8 years old when war started.
Hmm.
So for the next 6 years or so, my curfew was in by before it got dark and the raid started.
Yeah.
Because they would come across when it was dark. Apart from, I think it was a Thursday. I think on Thursdays, about 10 o'clock, the German bombers would come over the dockyard.
Okay. So, slightly different topic. Well, not slightly different topic, still childhood, but obviously you've learnt lots of things. What was the most important lesson that your parents taught you?
Oh, there's several, Mark.
Yep. Say a couple.
Concentrate. When you're at school, concentrate on the book that you're reading from, whether it be history, geography, whatever.
Hmm.
Don't talk when the teacher's talking. Open your ears and your eyes wider. My father had little sayings which you've all heard during the years because I still use them. Look in the mirror. There's your problem. Sort the mirror out. You sorted the problem out. You don't need to have problems. You need to have difficulties and you have to overcome them. Study them. When you're at school, look at your book you're reading and listen to the teacher's voice and put the two together. I can remember at school a bit, I was just lucky that I had the brain I had. I wasn't clever at all. And what happened was, right, we're going to have a spelling lesson now, and it's going to be instant. I'm going to give you a word, and I'm going to point to somebody, and I'll say your name. You'll stand up, and you'll spell that word. Right. Pomegranate. Jones. Stand up. Start. Pomegranate. Right, okay, sit down. That was wrong. Now this is a bit, I suppose I should be proud really. Right, Ross. Yes sir? Stand up. Yes sir? Stand up. Spell granite. Granate. Correct. Sit down. Did you get that, Jones? Right, you stand up, you say it. G-I. So I was fairly good at mental spelling and mental arithmetic. He would often say, right, Ross, 3 4s, 16, sir. No, wrong. Sit down. Ross, what did I say? 3 16s, 48. Okay. And I was fairly quick as a youngster.
Yeah.
Luck, not clever. And there were other things that I did. So I used to sit amongst the top 10 of the students in the class of about 30. I seem to be, when I was a youngster, all classes ran about 30 children.
Yeah.
Whether they were mixed or not, this wasn't in the not the kindergarten, when I first went to school, in the the fresh lot of infants.
Yeah. We're going to do a whole big thing about your school life soon. That's going to be, I think that's the next section we're going to do, is all about your school life.
Oh,
But this is about your what your parents have taught you.
what my parents have taught me.
Important things that your parents have taught you.
Well, my father used to say things like, if you're forming a letter of the word. My father was quite educated. He had a very retentive memory. You were playing a game of cards, and he would pick up the cards and put them, or maybe put them under, I can't remember that part. But he would say, right, King of Spades, the cards are face down.
Mm-hmm.
3 of diamonds, 4 of hearts. That's how good he was at playing game. Memory retention, how you could remember, and everything. Oh, I know what the other thing was. You wouldn't believe this, what I'm about to tell you. Going shopping. There, your mother wants you to go to the butcher's to get some beef, to the greengrocer's to get some potatoes, to the sweet shops to get a bag of crisps. Right. Have you got that? Right. Okay. Give a thing, and you know the sort of memory training that you get, and you remember something. I'm trying to think what it's called. That's AIDS now, telling I can't pull back the bloody word out of my head. You have something that means something else.
Like association?
Yeah, it's association of ideas where a piece of meat don't start with an M because you've got other M things to buy. So that's got a certain number or something. So you go out and you know 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think it was the shape. The shape of something tells you it's meat. The shape of that thing tells you it's that. I've got a thing on that, memory training. It was really to train. Where did I put that? Oh, there it is. Train your memory on a certain thing, and it specifies. I wish I could remember it now. So that's what I used to do. I didn't get it right all the time, but most of the time I could. My father didn't take chit-chat stuff very much.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk about something sensible. As I said, he used to get 3 newspapers a day in the morning, and he will get 2 newspapers, the London Evening News and the Portsmouth Evening News, in the evening.
Yep.
And I used to try and catch him out. I was just saying, did you read about that chap cleaning windows in London? And there was a 3-inch strip in the Daily Herald, I don't know what, Chronicle, whatever it was, what newspaper it was. Oh yeah, I did read that. You mean the chap that was cleaning the windows and stood back to look and see how good they were, found out there was a smear, lost his footing and fell, but he fell into a canopy over the shop below. You know, when you pull the blinds out, people used to have blinds in those days, and they get a very long hook, a very long stick with a hook on the end, and they put it around the hole and pull down the blind, which was on stilts, and they put it in and then they bring it down again. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the way. And he said, you have to listen and you have to concentrate. Don't think of what's coming into your mind. Take what's coming out of that person's mind grasp it and see if you can tuck it away somewhere. I can't remember the words he used to use, but there were various things that he showed me of how to remember things, and not to blame other people for your faults. And I'll tell you what I came across yesterday. You gave me something a long time ago, and it's funny. Do you remember that?
I do indeed, yeah. The guys that are listening won't be so interested right now in that story.
Yeah. See, basically that's what you're saying there. But there's another way. You do it by you look at something and it's like B for a brush, but it's also straight, so it's a one.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is when you go outside, number one comes in your head. What is a brush like? Something straight. What does that mean? Not a stick, no, B for brush. Right, okay. And that's how you will remember the different things. You know what I mean, Mark, don't you? You know what I'm trying to get at.
Yep.
Don't explain myself very well.
No, I know what you mean.
Confused brain.
Did you ever get an allowance?
Get an allowance?
Yeah. If so, how much and what did you spend it on?
No. I'll tell you how I used to earn money, didn't I? Because of Mrs. Harris next door.
Yeah, you haven't told them.
So I don't think I got. Sometimes my two brothers, Roy and Jockey, and my sister Winnie, were mainly at home all the time I was young. I can't remember the first five very well, whether they lived at home or not. My sister Gladys was the oldest girl, was the oldest of the family, the first five, so therefore she was the eldest to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to say that she used to come round, I'll take young Ken for a walk. All right, my mother must have gone, thank Christ for that. Bit of peace. Anyway, she'll come out and take me out in the pram. She used to say, not now, not now. Because she would teach me things.
Yep.
And this is what they used to tell me as I got older. I mean, one of the things that she used to do was take me out and say, bugger, 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 bugger. Bugger, 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 bugger. And I used to be in the pram. Bugger, 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 bugger. She was out in the street pushing me. That was my sister Gladys. How did the walk go, Gladys? Mother asked Gladys when she comes back. The little devil. All the time I was pushing in the pram. We were going, I took him up to Commercial Road. I took him up to the old part of Portsmouth, outside the Guildhall, and I pushed him into Victoria Park. And all those people were there. And all he could say was bugger, 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 bugger. And everybody was looking. God, I said it's slower than that, of course. Mm. And all the people, and she was going, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. So she said, well, you taught him to say it. Yeah, that was one thing I remember.
It's a good story. Did so you didn't used to get like pocket money or anything at all?
Yeah, it all depends on what my mother, because bear in mind that the war started when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't mind me going and do a bit of shopping. If I went along from where we lived, it was all pretty much near Copner Road, and all those shops along Copner Road. Do not cross, you don't cross by the beacon, you don't cross the street whatsoever. you keep on this side of the road, so you can go down Burfield Road, to the left on the top of the road. You can go up as far as the school, up to Rainey's shop, which is against the school wall. No farther. Don't cross over the road and come straight back. Do you understand? Yes, Mum. And that was the sort of instructions I was given, but when I was younger, going out. If you pop into so and so, you can get me a small bag of flour. I'm just and a bag of coal, whatever it was you wanted.
Yeah.
There should be 2 tuppence to come back. Because as far as I can remember, this is a side now, a loaf of bread, it wasn't a white loaf anymore, it was slightly brown because they had to use all the flour and not just whiten and have the other brown.
Yeah.
But white bread was slightly brown, if you like, during the war. And she would say to me, because by this time I was 8 years old, you see. So I would go out and do what couple of things my mum wanted. It meant I could go for a walk, I could go along Cotton Road, I could go along this side of the road. You weren't allowed to cross over, and I would go into that shop for that, and to that shop for the something else. There would be 2pence change. You could spend 1 penny to buy yourself any sweet you want. And the prices never changed. Pretty much, they lasted for years, I think.
Yeah.
So I would go out and buy the couple of things my mother asked. After I'd gone into a shop and said, "Can I have one of those penny chews?" So I'd spend the money, hang on to the change, as though my life depended upon it. Put it in the purse. Go along to shop number 1.
Yeah.
Buy this. Go along to shop number 2 and buy that, and there was 2p left because there was 3pence change that would have come from them if I'd have waited and bought the sweet. Did you get your sweet, son? Yes, Mum. Here's the thing. There's your this. There's your that. Okay, those are the two things you wanted. Here's your 2pence change. What sweetie did you buy? I bought a so and so. Oh, all right. Where did you buy that? So-and-so shop. You've eaten it already, because that shop was the shop nearest on the way out.
Yes.
Not at the end, when I had to go to the second shop and buy the whatever she wanted. I won't make that mistake again. So I had to be a bit careful. So I began to get, if you like, clever.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fact that I was clever. It was just that if I told a lie, which I did, my mother couldn't catch me out. Because you say, well, you haven't got any sticky things around your face or your fingers at all.
Okay, we've got
What else do you want to ask? In your time.
I was going to say we've got 5 more to go. I'm wondering whether we should hold off for the next time. I think we will. I think we'll hold off on the next one because that's a good point to stop. To be fair, that's a good chunk done. So, wave goodbye and say we'll catch you soon.
Oh right.
Go on, wave.
Bye bye.